Want to level up your leadership? Welcome to The Boss Coach.
Hey boss, how's business? Patrick got me talking in metrics. Hey boss, how's business? I'm the boss coach of my own moves. Hey buddy.
Right back at you, toots. Boy, that was a real humdinger, or whatever they used to say back then. Well, hey boss, how's business? How's your network security on your systems? Are you an MFA team? That's multi-factor authentication. Do you have to memorize your PINs on top of a literal 14-digit password? Do you have to get a text message when you log in? I know it's a pain, but security is top priority, right? Thanks for clicking and listening. My name is Patrick McGranahan, and welcome back to The Boss Coach. If this episode was shared with you by a very thoughtful friend and you are new, please check out the podcast trailer. That is episode 100 for a little background on what The Boss Coach is all about. Then, of course, check out all of season 1 too for lots of really helpful stuff. And thank your friend for forwarding it to you also, and I appreciate it as well. But to prepare for today's very important topic, I would make sure you have listened to episode 101. Why is that? Because it's called Why Do You Want to Be Boss? Now, that's a really important step. You want to be sure that you want to get into leadership before you make that jump. Now, as a refresher, the most common reasons people want to be in leadership are: number one, this is the good reasons. It's the desire to help and guide others. This is what I call the shepherd in my shepherd and wolf theory. They're the people who like to help others and they believe they have a responsibility to guide them the right way. The number two reason is a bad reason because they think it's the only way to get promoted. Not great, I understand it, and sometimes effective, but it won't give you a good life. And number three, the ugly reason, it's a desire for control, to lord over people. That's what I call the wolf energy. And actually, there's a fourth reason too that we'll talk about in a few weeks, the accidental manager, but we'll get into that way later. So if you're sure this is what you want today, then I'm going to give you the steps, the tips, the tricks, and the cheat codes to get yourself into leadership. It's one of the main reasons I started this podcast, actually, to help young leaders advance their career. And this is the first step, making the jump from a high performer to a high impact leader.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to give you a promotion. Welcome aboard, Mr. Manager.
Wow, I'm Mr. Manager.
Well, manager. We would just say manager. And you can hire an employee if you need one.
Do you think I need one?
Don't look at me, Mr. Manager.
So before we get into all that, remember one thing. There's no turning back from here. I mean, that's a little dramatic. People do move back and forth between supervisor or management and IC or individual contributor roles all the time. And usually it's not of their own choice, which is a little awkward. My own father did this though, but it was because of all the demands put on him. The team did very well under his leadership. However, it was very, very stressful personally and he couldn't exactly handle that burden. So you've got to be really certain that you want this. And I mean that you want it confidently, not just as a trial, not to see how you like it, but really commit. And to validate if you really want to commit, you got to remember, as an individual contributor, or IC, life really wasn't that bad, right? I mean, you're more flexible. You can log off for the day and actually be off. No one's bugging you on the weekends. You can focus on the work itself, not anything else. Like you're free from politics. You have a work-life balance. There's less administrative burden. You have more direct impact on the actual work you're doing. Sure, the pay is a little less, but you do have peace of mind. Well, if you're not convinced to stay put yet, then keep listening because we're going to get you promoted.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
All right, you might be asking, why did I get into leadership? Well, it was because I wanted to serve. But the bigger issue was I saw a need and I wanted to fill that need. It was back in the coffee shop days, and there was this void that needed filled. The leader there, the manager, wasn't great at much of anything, to be honest. Not good at ordering, not good at scheduling, not good at inventory, not good at the actual job itself. His aspirations were elsewhere. In that void, I saw an opportunity to step up. And so I did, and it set up my career from there. But what makes me want to lead is a whole different story, and we'll get to that at the very end. Okay, so if you're still sure you want to make the jump, here's how we're going to do it. Now, the one thing you've heard me say over and over through all episodes on every single season is that the number one prerequisite is to be impeccably good at your job. That's number one. Be a high performer and an influencer on the team. Show them that you know how to do the work. That gets your foot in the door. So that's not even one of the steps today. That's not even one of the changes you make. That's just the prerequisite. So from there, the transition from high performer to manager is challenging because individual strengths don't always translate to collaborative leadership. It demands a shift from doing to explaining the work. Effective new managers must make their thinking visible by narrating context, asking questions, and verifying. Also, understanding helps to foster team clarity and prevent costly misunderstandings. When high performers become managers, the transition is often more challenging than expected. Strengths that once drove individual success do not always translate to collaborative roles. Now, the challenge is rarely skill or effort, but leadership communication and the need to make things visible. It's all about clarity, right? This may be sounding a little bit esoteric. So, you know what? Let's boss coach this up and break it down to 4 steps. There's 4 changes you need to make to prove that you can be an effective leader before you ever have that conversation. We'll get to that step in a minute also. So, change number 1, change your communication. Benefit News says that poor leadership communication costs U.S. businesses an estimated $1.2 trillion annually. That's with a T, trillion, or about $12,500 per employee per year in lost productivity, turnover, overlooked opportunities, etc. Employees who interact with their leader for at least 6 hours per week are 29% more inspired and 30% more engaged than those who interact for only 1 hour. Now, the Gossman Group reported that, but also to get noticed as a high performer and a leader candidate, you need to engage. Well, what does this look like? If your leader doesn't have a one-on-one with you, schedule one. Put it on their calendar. You can do that. You really can. Schedule your own cadence. We covered this in episode 111, appropriately, one-to-ones. So schedule that as well as a quarterly touch base with your boss's boss. They'll let you do that too. There's no special permission. And if you have team meetings, offer to lead those for your leader. They'll appreciate that. These are all simple things, but it gets you noticed, gets you engaged, and it changes your communication framework. Okay, change number 2 is change seats. What does that mean? Make the conscious switch between doing the work and explaining the work. Remember, you proved yourself to be a high performer, a great individual contributor. Now can you transfer your skills to others? Instead of being in the chair in front of the laptop doing the thing, switch to the chair next to that person. Showing that you can not only be a high performer but also teach everyone else how to be a high performer is tantamount to showing yourself up to be a great leader who can make the jump. Well, what does that really mean? So I would say be a trainer of new people. When you have new hires on the team, be the one that steps up and says, I will show them how to do it. I will sit with them. I will be the person in charge of the enrichment and development for our team. Represent your team also in working groups. Offer to deliver the introduction deck when you're presenting to other teams about what your team does. Whatever it is, just get seen. For your mindset, treat interactions like you're getting ready to go on vacation. Or let's say, in case I win the lottery, you need to know blank. Always try to transfer as much information as possible so they know exactly how to do the job as well as you did. So to do that, keep nothing back. Treat them like you're telling them everything they need to know from here on out. But you want to give up that seat of the doer and you want to be the one that's the help. Okay, change number 3 is change your confidence. This isn't what you think, boss. Keep your confidence in check. See, new managers tend to be overconfident and they overcorrect by defaulting to certainty to establish credibility, right? Act like you know it. They state conclusions rather than supporting dialogue and answer questions quickly rather than inviting input. That's what Forbes calls the confidence gap. You see, executive coaching surveys and workplace research suggests that roughly 1/3 of newly promoted leaders struggle with a mismatch between their capabilities and their confidence in the role. Since 2019, the study reported confidence challenges among new managers have increased by as much as 75%. As leadership roles have become more visible and ambiguous, that only gets higher. You know the saying, fake it till you make it, right? Well, it's funny, but don't do that. Don't fake it. Know what you're doing. It will keep you from getting promotions. In support, the danger of confident wrong answers can't be overstated. That's the area I work in support. And I've seen people very confidently give the wrong answer because they wanted to seem like they knew they were talking about. But that's obviously not the right metric. You do want to seem sure of yourself, but with something to back it up. How do you do that? Well, you got to get comfy with one saying. I don't know, but I'll find out. I know it's maybe tough to say, but it's very, very important. You'll be more respected if you say, look, I'm going to take this away and get back to you once we've done some research. That's what a leader sounds like. And your boss can hear that loud and clear. Basically, keep your ego in check. And the 4th change you need to make is change your perspective. As an individual contributor, an IC, you're focused on the task at hand. If your job is to make widgets, for example, you make them fast and you make them accurately. A leader, however, pulls back to see the holistic picture. What do the widgets go into? Where do they go? Should we be redesigning the widget? Etc. The Journal of Applied Behavior Science says that strong leaders seek perspective and that elevated engagements to the whole ecosystem improves all outcomes because it encourages thinking rather than just compliance. Do this by asking questions. Hey, why do we do it this way? Is there a better way? Did we used to do it differently? How does the rest of industry do it? Be curious. Switch focus from the widget itself to the greater machine it's part of. As an IC, ask to join meetings in other teams so you get more exposure to the whole process. Talk to program managers. Show leadership that your perspective is now wider and therefore you should have wider responsibilities. And they won't push back. Look, I've said it before and I'll say it again. They need you more than you need them. They need you to be great and they need you to transfer that greatness to others. Okay, so to be excellent, to get in the door is number one. Then we make 4 changes. Change in communication, change seats, change confidence, and change perspective. Now there's one last step here, and it's scary, boss. To make the jump, you need to say the words to your boss. Okay, you are ready, you're prepared, you laid the groundwork, but now you have to say, I'd like to be considered for leadership opportunities. Dun, dun, dun. Say it with me again. I'd like to be considered for leadership opportunities. If you're a leader yourself right now, you know that if someone says this to you, it is the best part of your day. You love it. It means someone is ready for further development and you can help them to get into leadership and to advance up the org chart. It's a great day, I swear. Now, I promised my story of what called me to serve, not just being a leader when I decided to be a manager, but what called me to serve, because, that's a mindset. And I'd say it happened when I was about 12 years old. So here's the thing. I was going to a church in a very small town, a very small church in a small town, so they had very low options. So they asked me to be an altar server. Now, Father Erickson was his name. Love that guy. He said, if you can help, you should help. So fine, I decided I would do it. And in preparing for it, Father Erickson said that he referred to everybody not in the pews as service leadership. And I thought, well, as an altar server, we're serving, we're not leading, right? And he said something I'll never forget. They are the same thing. And that's the basis of servant leadership, right? Serving is leading. This is the biggest change of perspective there is. It's 180 degrees away from the pews to the altar. Looking back at the congregation, I realized that there was a duty to help people, and you begin helping them by serving. Knowing I was dependent upon to lead through service changed everything for me. That's when my mind made the jump of, this is what I want to do forever. I want to be on the other side with them looking at me, knowing that I can lead them confidently and that they can rely on me. So here's what you can do right now to level up your leadership by helping an aspiring leader make the jump or help yourself in that process. Scorecard time. So if you're an aspiring leader, of those 4 changes, how many have you made? Score that for yourself and make a goal by the end of year that you've completed all 4 of those changes so you're ready to have that conversation with your leader. Now, if you are currently a leader, who on your team is trying to make the jump? Who's trying those changes? I would say recognize them and encourage them to make those changes to help them on the path towards becoming a leader. Thank you for your time today. I'm Patrick McGranahan, the Boss Coach. Great subject today, one of the key reasons why I started this podcast in the first place. So please make sure to follow The Boss Coach on Spotify. Other platforms say subscribe. Whatever it is, you want to make sure you get notice of new episodes, and it's always free. Thank you to my new subscribers too, but also my regulars who keep listening to every new episode and who keep forwarding out to other people too. That's why we're growing, and I sure appreciate you. Remember to like and leave comments too. The algorithm loves that. Even simple comments, like comment on this one saying one thing that you did to make the jump, or maybe there's something I missed in the process. Whatever it is, just share in the conversation. Also, keep sharing the episodes, especially to people who are not yet in leadership. Today's episode was written specifically for them, and they will thank you. And finally, thanks to the viewers from Reels and TikTok and Instagram also. I really like those comments. I really like to see those numbers up. And you get to see me with my cat, one of my cats, Boss Cat. So hopefully you enjoy those. But until then, I'll see you next time on The Boss Coach. Back to work, boss.
Might as well jump.
Thank you for joining us today for The Boss Coach, hosted by Patrick McGranahan. We'd also like to thank our associate producer, Hannah, and consulting contributor, Stephanie. Original music provided by Sono AI Studio. All statements and opinions by our host and guests are solely their own observations and may not reflect those of their contemporaries or employers. Please check out other episodes of The Boss Coach for more valuable opportunities to level up your leadership. Until next time, I am your announcer, Ava. Have a great day, and as always, lead with your heart.